Mr. Mandela is going to leave us now.
Nelson Mandela is many things to many people. Politician, leader, the father of a nation. But when he became South Africa's first black president, the country was bitterly divided.
It was a country in turmoil, there was a lot of crime, violence, crime. I think the future was bleak, for us, where was hope, where we needed it, until the big man gave us hope.
Mandela had a very clear plan for reconciliation. One of the key elements was sport.
From the moment he stepped out of prison, he always recognizes the importance of sport, saying that sport is a glue that binds a nation. I think it comes from his own experience of having spent 27 years in prison. And one of the things that happened on Robben Island, they actually had a prison's league. So the football matches that was played on Robben Island actually was a moment of social interaction. So it was no wonder that when he came off the island, that he understood how important sport is in building the nation and sustaining a nation.
Just months after his 1994 inauguration, Mandela was presented with the perfect opportunity to put his plan to the test. In 1995, South Africa hosted the Rugby World Cup. Rugby was still predominantly a white sport, and Mandela saw the tournament as a chance to win the trust of many white people.
I think it's probably not the first time, but I think it's probably the biggest opportunity that any country has used sport to unify the country, or a country, and especially for South Africa. And that was the best opportunity for us to get to bring the team together, to unify the country. And you could see at the stadium, there was black, white, coloured, whatever colour you want to call. They were supporting the Springboks, and because of Nelson Mandela's involvement in the team.
Throughout the Rugby World Cup, Mandela campaigned for all sectors of South Africa's society to support the Springboks. Despite some scares along the way, South Africa made it through to the final of the 1995 Rugby World Cup, which took place here in front of a packed Ellis Park. But there were doubts as to whether the Springboks could stop a Jonah Lomu-inspired New Zealand side. But South Africa had their own secret weapon that day, as Nelson Mandela whipped the crowd into a frenzy.
And when he came out and walked around the field and went and greeted people and basically people realized, hang on, that's the president, and he's wearing a rugby jersey, and he's really part of this whole thing.
He came without notice, and it was just a wonderful gesture again for him to come into the changing room and wish us well. And obviously being out on the field was highly special when we could absorb just the energy in the stadium and everyone chanting Nelson, Nelson, Nelson.
South Africa won the match in extra time, 15 points to 12. They had won the Rugby World Cup. And the country, for a moment at least, was united regardless of colour.
I'm telling you, that showed me that this is different South Africa. I realized that definitely there is change happening in our country. South Africa is becoming the rainbow nation.
Some 6 months later, it was football's turn to help build the nation. At short notice, the country hosted the 1996 Africa Cup of Nations, and Mandela's influence on that team was as significant.
So we were saying that we had a Madiba magic. I remember on the day he was coming to give us a pep talk, we woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, and we didn't mind, but we felt something, I say that magic. From there it was such a great inspiration.
South Africa made it to the final, and 2 Mark Williams goals gave them victory over Tunisia. The Mandela magic had worked again.
You see him smile and laugh and, jubilant. It was so satisfying that, we did it. We made it. That is the man. It's more about making people proud, making him proud.
It was tremendous. And I think sport made a major contribution to nation building, because from our divided past, we needed projects, or in this case, events that could bind the nation. We saw that in 1995, the Rugby World Cup, the Springboks winning the Rugby World Cup, and then South Africa winning the African Cup of Nations. It was a huge moment of celebration, joy and unity of just every South African.
The record books will tell you that South Africa won 2 significant sporting tournaments in the mid-1990s. But that does not tell the story. The implications of those victories for the country were just so much more. And it would not have been possible without Nelson Mandela. Dan Williams, CCTV News in Johannesburg, South Africa.